Hello, Kaya. How are you today?
I'm very well, thanks to yourself.
I'm not bad at all. You're here today with CornerSpeak, and our guest Kaya is in the studio today to tell us a bit about his background. He's a musician, poet, and all-round creative person. You also do a bit of artwork, don't you?
Yeah,
Cartoons, caricatures.
yeah, anything
Okay, sounds good. It's all creative. What I really wanted to start off by asking you is, I know you're a guitarist. You've been playing guitar for a fair duration, and you are primarily self-taught. What inspired you to pick up that instrument?
really. Well, just struck me one day. I said it's really weird. It's almost like I manifested it. I said I'm gonna learn the electric guitar, and then
Interesting.
it's like about 6 months after that, my mum bought me.
Hold up, pull up. Now that was kind of rude of me, but there's a good reason behind that. We were listening to some of your backing tracks and some of your compositions before we started recording, weren't we? Um, Now, I know you've been writing for a long time, and you've amassed probably a good few albums worth of tunes. I was listening to some of them earlier, and I'm thinking while we're here live, would it be okay for us to probably go through some of your tracks? And I want to know how you were inspired to write some of these tunes. They're solid, funky, rocky, diverse backing tracks and instrumentals. Were you okay to play
Yeah,
some examples?
I don't mind sharing a few.
I don't wanna twist your arm.
Yeah, I'll share a few.
And I know-
I don't want to show everything, but
No,
I'll
no.
show you a few things.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Most of this stuff is unreleased material, and some of it is even unfinished. I just think it would be a very good, interesting thing for some of the viewers to have a little glance into
They can have a little taste.
a little taste, a little taster, the
Just as long as they're
creative bank account.
they better not be hungry for it right
Pirates.
now. Alright, I'll show you
It's
something.
all good. Okay, this is one of your funky tunes.
Yeah, this is definitely something funky, but I feel like it's got other elements in it too.
Yeah.
If you listen to it all the way through, you know exactly what I mean. But yeah, so
How long ago was this song composed? Is it a recent composition?
no, it's not recent. Like a lot of them are old. There's some more recent ones, but I'd say this one is at least like 2 years old, maybe nearly 3 years old. This one.
So what is your general generic writing process? Do you set aside a particular day in the week and you sit down in your home studio and you get your guitar out and you start composing, or do you come up with lyrics first, or are you the type of composer who, as soon as an idea comes into your mind, you have to lay it down, record it, take notes? What's your process?
My process is mainly I'll hear it in my head. I'll hear a full composition in my head,
I see.
and then obviously
Get the full
I transpose that onto the guitar, just play it. But I have had moments where I've come up with lyrics and I've come up with chords and go with it, or a progression or whatever it is to go to it. But a lot of the time it's something that I hear in my head. I hear the melody, the composition, and then I'll come up with lyrics to go on it after that.
So you hear more or less the whole song.
Yeah, the whole song, bass, drums, even if it's got trumpet in it, anything goes really.
This is a curious question. Do you find that if you don't sort of get to lay the idea down then and there, that you tend to forget it? Like, it's not something you can say, I've got this idea, I can hear the song, right, I'll lay it down tomorrow, or I'll come back to this. Is that actually possible? Can you retain
Well,
a fresh
it really
idea?
depends. If the song is really memorable, it's just ingrained into
Like
me.
a solid groove.
Yeah. I won't forget that. But a lot of the time, not to discredit my other ideas, because I feel like I come up with some really to me they sound nice. So I feel like
Yes.
I've got to do them then and there, because
While we're
sometimes they can
talking,
be so good.
Kaya, can we hear some more of your songs? I know you've got a lot of songs there.
But yeah, as I was saying, Yeah, like a lot of the time they just come to me in the
Okay,
moment.
this is sounding definitely more sedate, more chilled and relaxing.
Yeah, yeah.
The other one. So you have
But-
variation in your palette.
Yeah, of course.
You're not like a one-star
Yeah,
composer.
it's not a one-way street. There's loads of different avenues. But yeah, so as we were saying about how I come up with these ideas, yeah. So I obviously most of the time it is a thing to me where it just comes to my mind, or so like if it comes to my mind then and there, I will want to jot it down because sometimes an idea could be so good, so juicy,
and they don't always stick around for long. Yes, I know what you're talking about there.
When you get them then and there, then you're like, once I've physically played them, it doesn't matter if I've recorded them. If I hear something in my head, I physically play it.
Yes.
It's down.
Okay.
It's down. But there have been other times where I've just had a song in my head and I've gone to sleep. I woke up the next day and I still remembered it. But I was so tired, that I couldn't. I didn't
do the session.
Yeah, I couldn't just sit there.
But I tell you what, though, that is some retention. That is quite a remarkable skill to be able to retain the freshness of an idea, over a duration like that. I tend to find sometimes I'll jump out of bed and I'm like in the morning, I've got this brilliant idea. Like you said, you can hear all the parts. And by the time I pick up my iPhone or something and click record on the voice recorder, half of it's disappeared somewhere. So to be able to retain these ideas, I think is a particular skill some of us have and others have to a lesser degree. All in all, though, these are nice sounding tracks. I'm very impressed. They're very flavoursome.
Yeah. Well, this one, this one's a funny one because like I can't actually remember when I came up with it.
Okay.
It's one of those ones, but I can give you a time frame of when it roughly came about. But
the season.
I'll say it's probably within maybe a year and a half.
Okay, so it's quite recent.
Yeah, maybe a year and a half, maybe even 2 years. Like that's as far back as I can go because I don't remember playing this in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't before, then it was after.
Yeah, it had to be. But there was obviously this wasn't the earliest version of it. There was another version, and I had to change it up to make it sound the way it is now.
Okay, so you also do multiple versions as you're sculpting away and trying to, perfect that idea of a final composition.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because you're gonna pick things up and you're gonna improve over a period of time.
Yes.
So this is definitely one of those songs that obviously it's not complete.
Well,
but
just to redirect you there,
taste,
talking about your composition. I think I asked you earlier, and I didn't quite give you a chance to really completely answer. What was the key thing that inspired you to pick up the guitar and send you in the direction on that journey of becoming a musician?
Well,
it's not for everybody, is it?
Yeah. Well, I felt like I was at a point in my life where I took a year out of college. So I went to college when I was 16. I did media for a year, and then after that took a year break. And when I was 17, I just kind of thought like, what am I doing with my life?
Yes.
And I needed something. There was something missing from my life.
See, I started later than that. I was struck immediately in a funny sort of way because I was taken to a concert and I saw a bunch of guys who looked like me, and I thought, damn, if they can do that. And like yourself, I had a background in music, but not as an instrumentalist, as a musician as such. I was always involved in, you could say, the DJ side of things from my earliest background, and I started quite late. I picked up an instrument when I was just turning 18, but it was a similar thing. I finished a year of college, and I kind of was thinking, well, what am I really inspired to do? And some of my mates were, they were all involved or getting involved in or taking being involved in music more seriously, and being around, exposed to music in that way. That's probably really what introduced me. So again, like you were saying, you were finishing college, and you went to a gig, or
No,
You knew somebody who was a
it
musician?
wasn't anything like. My mum bought me a CD,
Oh.
and like I listened to some of the guitar work on there, and I just thought I want to be able to play like that.
Okay.
So that's when my mum got me an electric guitar as a Christmas present. She let me open it early, so
Okay.
I could get to work on it. And at first it was.
So maybe your mum was seeing something in you that sort of, gave her that idea that, maybe an instrument is something, you want to.
Well, yeah, and as I've gone on this journey, like, because in the beginning you're not going to be amazing, right?
No, none of us are.
But
Often
I think you do have you have that energy to push.
And there's some kind of gravity that
further,
draws you to an instrument, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Even like in the beginning when you are struggling, you feel like, am I even getting anywhere doing this?
Yeah.
But if you persist, if you keep persisting in playing, practicing, all that stuff, you see like even after a year or two, what you would pick up. If you commit the right amount of energy to it, it doesn't matter if you're playing. You can play 10 hours a day and things like that. But I feel like if you really want to get good,
yes,
you have to implement some structured practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where you apply yourself to the instrument.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not. Yeah, you can jam. Don't get me wrong.
You know what I like about this? This is probably good for any aspiring musicians or anybody who's just of late picked up an instrument and they've had a play around with it and maybe they've reached that first curve in the learning curve where they feel a bit disheartened and look at other musicians and think that they're just too far away to even aspire to. And as you said, there's stages in this thing, and you do have to kind of apply yourself in a certain way and give things a limited amount of time, initial amount of time to see those the changes.
Yeah. My advice to those musicians who are just starting out is to really believe in yourself. It's such an important thing to believe in yourself, because there are people who are talented out there, yes, but they just don't believe in themselves to a degree where they can go up on a stage and they can perform to an audience of people. That was something. For me, I felt like that was nerve-wracking.
It takes some acclimatizing.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had moments where I've gone up on stage and I've enjoyed myself.
Yeah, it's not natural.
But like, I did my first gig after, I think it was like 5 months of playing guitar.
Yes.
5 months of playing guitar. That's exactly what I said. The exact those.
Can we hear another one of your songs while we're talking?
Yeah, of course, man. But yeah, so I dived in the deep end, and it was. It was good the first performance I did.
Yes.
And I pushed myself to do other performances, but there were other performances that were a bit.
I'd just like to cut in and say I'm really glad that we've got this opportunity to listen to some of your compositions, because it'll give the listeners a real taste of your how rounded your musicianship is. While you enlighten us on the road you've travelled as somebody taking up a new instrument many years ago, which is obviously has led you to where you are now, where you can play an instrument quite comfortably, fluently. You've got something to say, be it in your compositions or your improvisations. But as you were pointing out, it's those first few months or that first year when you pick up an instrument, you can at times, as much as you can be inspired, you can be disheartened as well.
Yeah. And
you do really need to push past that to see the fruits of your labour to get any real return, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You hit the nail on the head. So
yes.
It's what you like. You can't exactly just sit there for the next, how many of the years doing the same stuff you was doing before. You got to expand. So like for me in the beginning, it was like, oh, I want to be a rock star. I want to play, rock music and stuff. But that was it was like a fantasy.
Inspiration.
So after that, along my journey, I realised that I wanted to be like a real musician, like as someone who can play, different styles and things. Obviously, everyone's got their different tastes. Like, for example, I don't play classical music. I mean, maybe at some point in my life I might want to learn, but right now...
You play acoustic guitar as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I can play acoustic guitar. But so I started off with like blues, blues rock, and then I expanded to other things like funk, jazz, folk, soul, R&B, psychedelic soul. Then psychedelic rock, I'd say, was one of the things I started off with as well.
I guess I can hear a little hint of those influences in this song in particular.
Yeah, exactly. But this song, like, I've showed people this song in particular, like friends of mine, and I've asked them, what would you call this? And they'd have to think about it. And when I mentioned the genres, I was like, oh, don't you think it's a bit like bluesy, psychedelic rock, that funky psychedelic blues with like a reggae offbeat in there as well. Like, so I like to get different genres and kind of just throw them together. Yeah, something nice like that.
See where you end up. Well, it's been very informative thus far, speaking to you about your background and where you have arrived at in music. And we're going to go further into Kaya's story, and we're also going to take the opportunity to have a bit of a jam and do some playing so you can hear him on his guitar and expressing what he does when he plays. And I'll be accompanying him at some stage in some live performing. So for now, we're going to say hi and bye-bye for the moment, and we'll be back with you another time, sometime soon, for more of the same. You've been listening to Kaya and CornerSpeak today.